What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video. So we are actually seeing a huge blow to Democrats' plans moving forward, and it's actually coming from Senator Joe Manchin. We also got some new updates on what the expected timeline for this infrastructure bill is going to be, so I will address that in today's video as well. I want to talk about an $1,189 check that should be going out to about 430,000 Americans. I'll address that in a minute as well. First off, I just want you to understand right now, there's a lot of back and forth going on between progressives and the moderates in the House and the Senate. The problem right now is the Senate is split 50-50, which means if just one senator decides to defect and votes no for the bill for whatever reason, this bill is dead. It doesn't matter what happens in the House. And then in the House's side, the House, right now, Democrats can lose at most 4 votes. If they lose 5 votes, this bill would not pass. Okay? Just keep that in mind. If this bill doesn't pass in the House, doesn't matter what happens in the Senate. If it doesn't pass in the Senate, doesn't matter what happens in the House. But here's what I can tell you. Nancy Pelosi today, she told Democratic leaders in their leadership meeting today that the Rules Committee is going to meet on Wednesday. They were supposed to meet today to begin the markup of this bill. That has been postponed. It's not going to happen on Tuesday. It's going to happen on Wednesday. That's the expectation, is they will pick up their work, which means that they are potentially going to vote on this bill in the House either Wednesday or Thursday. The expectation is it's most likely going to be Thursday or Friday. Okay? So later on this week. Again, that's the expectation, but as I've been saying for the past 3 or 4 months, especially when Nancy Pelosi gives a deadline, when Democrats give a deadline, chances are we're going to blow through that deadline. It's not going to happen. We usually don't meet these deadlines. So just understand there's most likely going to be additional delays. We also know that progressives, they want to see both the bipartisan bill and the human infrastructure bill voted on at the same time. The U.S. Progressive Caucus Chairwoman Pramila Jayapal, she said these bills have to be voted on in tandem, or else progressives will not vote for one and not the other. And when she says this, she's pretty much saying, if we do not get a vote on the human infrastructure bill first, then we will not vote on the bipartisan bill. But if the human infrastructure bill is the only one that gets voted on, so be it. We will pass that, and then later on we'll vote and pass the bipartisan bill. What she's really saying is, I'm going to hold this one hostage until we pass the other one. And that's pretty much what Senator Joe Manchin is very upset about. Is he's been saying since August, because remember, they voted on this bipartisan bill in August. They wanted to make sure this was done, and Nancy Pelosi said, we're going to get this done. We will vote on this bill before we leave. And this was for their recess. Well, it didn't happen. And she said, we're going to vote on this bill. Was it the end of August? Yeah, it didn't happen. Then we're going to vote on this bill by the end of September. No, that didn't happen. Then we will vote on this bill by October 31st. At the latest, October 31st, that was yesterday. Well, guess what? It didn't happen. Nope, didn't happen again. So, what we are hearing right now, progressives are saying that we cannot trust moderates in the House or the Senate to pass the human infrastructure bill. And moderates are saying that holding this one bill hostage just to get your way on another bill is not the way Congress should run. And Senator Joe Manchin said today that holding the bipartisan bill hostage is not the way to get his vote on the human infrastructure bill. But this is not where Senator Joe Manchin blew up Democrats' entire plan of passing the infrastructure bill. That wasn't where it came from. Both Senator Sinema and Senator Manchin, they do not currently support that $1.75 trillion infrastructure bill. According to reporters, when Kyrsten Sinema was asked if she supported the bill, she simply gave no reply and walked straight into the elevator and left. When Senator Joe Manchin was asked if he supported the bill, he said he cannot yet support that Build Back Better plan because he doesn't fully support the framework of the Build Back Better plan. He wants to wait and see the potential effects on the deficit, on inflation, and on the tax code. He also says we need to wait until all these things are studied a little bit further. So here's the problem. And I understand where Senator Joe Manchin's coming from. And it makes sense to study these things a little bit more. But here's the problem. Studying the effects on the tax code, according to experts, is fairly straightforward. It's somewhat complex, but as long as you know what you're doing, obviously, it's fairly easy. Experts say that understanding how the deficit will impact us will be pretty easy as well. It's going to be fairly simple to determine that. But it's only going to be simple to determine the impact of the deficit once we understand inflation and whether inflation is transitory and exactly where it's going. Here's the problem. The problem is that nobody knows what's going to happen with inflation and what this is going to do to our economy. Nobody knows that. Jerome Powell, the guy that keeps saying, this is transitory. We are going to get out of this. Well, the expectation is, and Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, he predicted that inflation was going to be transitory for the past few months, that we're going to be out of this soon, right? This is what we've been hearing. But the expectation is that this week, Jerome Powell is going to come out and say that inflation is going to be transitory in the future and at some point. But at this point, it is not. We are continuing to see inflation, not deflation, which is hurting people that are saving money, not investing, don't have real estate, right? Inflation hurts all those people. It costs more to buy a gallon of gas, it costs more to go buy a loaf of bread, a gallon of milk, right? A can of beans. Everything costs more money because of inflation. And obviously the supply chain issues are hurting us as well. Here's the problem. There's still a major worry and concern over inflation. So Senator Manchin, even though he doesn't support this bill because of what's going on right now, he might support this in the future. The problem is, once we get answers as to what's going to happen with inflation, it could be the early to middle part of 2022. Well, lawmakers want to get this bill passed today. Actually, they wanted to get it passed last week. It didn't happen. Senator Joe Manchin doesn't have the answers to inflation, the deficit, or the tax code. Two of those things can be answered fairly quickly, but one of those things, inflation, that's the big question mark. And Senator Joe Manchin has been saying this for months. The problem is nobody has really listened. Nobody has really listened. They've just told him, you know what? Yes, I understand. You want to put a pause on this. You want to pass this in 2022, but we can't do that. We need to pass this today. And so if this is the case, the child tax credit payments would simply lapse. You wouldn't get a payment come January. It would be done in December. December 15th will be your last payment. We won't see the $150 billion going towards the affordable housing. That's not going to happen, which means people are going to still be paying more for rents and homes. We will have to wait, and you will not be able to see 7% of your income go to childcare. You will be paying 20, 25, 35% of your income towards childcare because, well, there's no cap. There's no cap on that. And the chances of seeing prescription drug prices drop, this is going to have to wait as well because, well, what we know what's going on right now is Senator Bernie Sanders is fighting for lower prescription drug prices. He wants to see this. This is what he's been fighting for years. This is one of his big push. Some experts are saying that if Senator Bernie Sanders doesn't get this done here, he will never get this passed. And if he's not the one fighting for this, there's nobody out there that's going to have the same pull and power that Senator Bernie Sanders has. So we're going to see what happens there. Right now, the one thing that Senator Bernie Sanders has said is he's been calling people all weekend. He's getting very close to getting a deal done. He's close to reaching an agreement on the lower prescription drug prices, which is great. It's going to help out millions and millions of seniors and just Americans in general. But right now, Senator Joe Manchin is blocking this entire bill. Not just because of the price of 1.75, but the provisions within it, and then the potential effects of this bill in the future. So right now, things aren't looking great. And according to recent polls, the American people would rather see this $1.75 trillion bill put on pause rather than pass a bill that does not have much in there for the American people. But let me ask you this, okay? Let me get your take on this. Would you rather see this bill passed as is, or would you rather see us wait for this bill with the potential that there's more going to be in it for the American people? Now, is there going to be stimulus checks? No. This is highly unlikely. Is there going to be more than just 1 year of the child tax credit payments? It's possible, but again, it's unlikely. Are the payments going to go up? Probably not. Is student loan cancellation going to be in there? Again, probably not. Is there going to be a big bill for immigration? Probably not, right? These things probably aren't going to be in there. But there's other things that could be added, right? Paid family leave is still on the table. We got the prescription drug prices, having that come down, that's still on the table. They're still considering that. Immigration is still on the table as well, but there's a lot more question marks around that. So what I can tell you is there's a lot of stuff going on. Honestly, there's so much stuff going on, so many discussions. Lawmakers are going back and forth with one another, but really the key people here, we got the White House and President Biden, but then the main two people, Senator Bernie Sanders and Senator Joe Manchin. Senator Kirsten Sinema's there as well, but she's pretty much just tied to Senator Joe Manchin. So really you got those two, Senator Sanders, Senator Manchin. Even though they tried to make things look civil a couple weeks ago, we do know that they were at each other's throats that same time as well. So I'm not saying they're friends, but I'm not saying that they're complete enemies. But as of right now, they're not getting along. So as I know more there, I promise I'll fill you in on that update as soon as I can. But let's talk about those $1,189 checks that are going to go to about 430,000 people. According to reports today, the IRS is sending out 430,000 checks. These are IRS refund checks to people who paid too much into the unemployment or into taxes for unemployment. What I can tell you is these checks, they average to be about $1,189. There was a total of $510 million that was sent out, and these are for people that actually overpaid in unemployment taxes, because in the American Rescue Plan, we actually saw that anybody that, if you made up to $10,200, that $10,200 was tax-free. Anything over that, you had to pay in taxes. So good news there, millions of Americans actually got up to $10,200 in tax-free money, which comes out to right about $1,200, or in this case, $1,189 on average. What we are seeing is that this was a huge benefit to people that were on unemployment. Again, some people paid into this because paid a little bit too much in taxes because they filed taxes early. The American Rescue Plan passed a little bit later, and so then there was that gap where all those people had to get refunded. That's good news. The IRS did take a little bit longer than they were expecting. However, some say it's better late than never. So if you got a IRS refund check just recently, or you are looking for one this week, that is great news. You are potentially going to get about $1,200 just this week or next week alone. So that's good news there. But that is what we know as of right now. But as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.